The next one says factoring with the repeated use of the difference of squares formula. The difference in squared formula, that's that one we did earlier where we had one plus and one minus and it factored out all nice with one of each. Repeated use means we're going to end up doing it more than once. But first of all, we're going to start like we did with these ones up here. Excuse me. We're going to find out, do we have a greatest common factor we can take out of both terms? So 32 and 2, both divisible by 2. I've got a u squared here and a u squared here, so I'm going to take out a 2u squared. So 32u squared divided by 2u squared would just give me 16, right? 16 is a perfect square. That number should be a perfect square because we know we're going to do the repeated use of the difference of squares. Minus, here if I take out the 2u squared, I'm left with just the v to the fourth, right? So now we're going to factor this like we did those ones with the difference of squares with our two sets of parentheses. There's still the 2u squared out in front. Then we're going to factor this. Factors of 16. 4 and 4, my signs. A plus and a minus, right? And the factors of v to the fourth would be
V2 and V2?
exactly, v squared and v squared. Because my rule when I multiply is to add them together, and 2 plus 2 is 4. Now, notice it said we're going to do the repeated use of the difference of squares formula. We're not done yet. Because we're going to factor the one with the minus sign a second time. I can't factor the one with the plus sign because if I had both pluses, I have to have a middle term. But I can factor the one with the minus sign. So I'm going to do it a second time. I'm going to factor this one. So these are going to stay the same. 2u squared, 4 plus v squared, and then I'm going to factor what's left in that last set of parentheses. The factors of 4, 2 and 2, my signs, positive and a negative, and the factors of v squared, v and v, right? Now I've got it factored completely. So all of these ones are pretty much going to follow these same steps, where you're going to have one with a squared with a plus sign that won't factor, and then one where we factored it all the way down. And all of that has to go in for your answer. So number 14, if I'm going to factor that completely, what can I factor out of both of those? The 2 and the x cubed, right? They both have a 2 and they both have an x cubed. So when I take 2x cubed out of the first term, what am I going to get?
X and 4.
If I take the 2x to the third out, I'm left with u to the fourth, right? Minus, now if I take 2x cubed and I divide it by 2x cubed, anything divided by itself is not 0, 1, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. I need that 1 there. Again, I have the difference of perfect squares, so I'm going to factor that. 2x cubes in front, 2 sets of parentheses. What's the factors of u to the fourth? U squared and u squared. Then I'm going to have what for my signs? Plus and a minus, and factors of 1, 1 and 1. The one with the plus sign we're not going to do anything with, but the one with the minus sign, we're going to go a second time. So we're still going to have the 2x cubed, we're still going to have the u squared plus 1, and then we're going to factor the u squared minus 1. So factors of u squared, u and u, my signs, positive and a negative, and the factors of 1. 1 and 1, right? All right, go ahead and try number 15. So, you started out, what was your greatest common factor?
I did 9, but I think you can go 3, right?
I don't think we can do 3 either because you don't have a 3 in that other one to take out, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
You have an 81 here, but you don't have a number here, so you can't take out a number, but you can take out the x to the third, right? They both have an x to the third, and that's the only thing they both have in common is that x to the third. So if you cross that x to the third out of each of those, what do you have left? (81) minus the u to the fourth, right? And 81 happens to be a perfect square. It's a good thing. So, factors of 81. 9 and 9. My signs, positive and a negative. Factors of u to the fourth, u to the second, u to the second. We can't factor the sum of squares, but we can factor the difference of squares on the end a second time. And so, factors of 9. 3 and 3, my signs, positive and a negative, and factors of u squared, u and u. So we get x to the third times 9 plus u squared times 3 plus u times 3 minus u, and all of that goes in for your answer.